We can keep the music rolling tonight.
We're gonna keep it. We're gonna keep
going.
it. We're gonna hit it again. Can we hit it again? Let's hit it again.
Well, of course. Who's stopping us?
It's win number 10. We need to.
We need to hit it again. There we go. What?
I get a little. Gotta get a little guitar or something.
Man, oh man, it feels good to get back in the win column. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into the CTW post-game show. I am your host, Rob Haytayan. Joined with me, my two co-hosts, Brendon Cox and Nick Franco. Guys, tonight the Celtics bounce back and beat down on the Brooklyn Nets on the road, 139-114. This loss is Brooklyn's largest loss of the season. They had not lost by as much as 15 points up until this matchup against the Boston Celtics. Guys, the Celtics answered the call. Last night, we came on post-game show, me and Franco, and we talked about their lack of effort. We talked about their defense. We talked about a lot of things that we saw out of the Boston Celtics that could be concerning if they continue going forward. Tonight, the Celtics, they responded, and just like we know them to, they answered that call. Guys, before we hop into what we liked tonight, you guys know the drill. Let's talk about, our initial thoughts, reactions, and a couple takeaways we had from tonight's game.
Slow start to the game, for sure. I mean, we have seen it obviously in the past couple games too. We saw it last week with Golden State as well. Just like a slow start. We got rolling in the second half. I just feel like that's kind of when we start to kind of, sink back in the second half too. Tatum obviously was huge with scoring, so that was just good to see out of him.
It was like a spell was lifted from the Celtics, and they finally, it felt like they gained consciousness and were playing at the level that we were accustomed to during the second half of tonight's game. First quarter, another slow start, as Brendon said. It was very choppy. It started off with the turnovers, the miscues that we were harping on yesterday in our podcast. And I think that they are starting to find their flow again. I think that it took the star players stepping up, Jason Tatum having a fantastic night tonight, and they look like the team that we are accustomed to. The number one contenders cleaned up their miscues. I feel like they watched our post-game show last night. They cleaned up the offensive rebounds, and it was just a phenomenal win, and it's great to get back on track for them.
When Boston rebounds and plays defense, they are nearly impossible to beat. Tonight, the Celtics did that. The Celtics out-rebounded the Brooklyn Nets 45-34, guys. The Celtics took 93 shots to the Brooklyn Nets 79. They completely flipped the switch from what we saw last night in Boston against Atlanta, and that is key. We came on here, we talked about how that was a problem with Boston, and we need to see them do that more. The rebounding, the turnovers, those are real problems. Well, tonight, the Celtics fixed that, and all credit goes to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Obviously, it was a team effort, but when your two star players, guys, are stepping up and contributing on the glass and doing the little things, that sets the tone for everyone else. The Celtics, they did that. Brown and Tatum, they made it a priority tonight. 12 rebounds for Jaylen Brown, 9 for Jason Tatum. That is huge. With the absence of Kristaps Porzingis, those two guys need to rebound. So when you look at those two guys, right, how easy is it if you're a role player? Right? Or maybe it's hard. Maybe you disagree with this, but when you see Tatum and Brown hitting the glass, what type of energy does that bring to the rest of the team, guys?
You see Sam Hauser getting his looks that he wants. It's where everyone, if Brown and Tatum are on their game, everything else falls into place. I think you'll see Derek White make his plays. He'll make his off-balance shots. He'll be able to create those looks and three-pointers that will spread out the game. Drew Holiday was active on both sides of the floor tonight, and you would see it in the role players like Hauser, Keita. When Keita got the start tonight, he was looking good. Still a couple of things that he can clean up. The fouls are definitely something that will be worked on over time. Once again, He's still a young player, still developing. And I think that they've done a phenomenal job of just being able to find those roles for the Celtics and having, the Hausers, the Iketas. Luke Cornett had to good game tonight. He was able to get his looks, and I think just being able to get people to do their job is what's going to continue to win the Celtics the games that they keep going forward.
We welcome in Ian Angelo. Ian, how we doing? It feels a little bit better tonight. A little bit better.
I would say so. Yeah, tonight feels last night. I think that goes without saying. Jason Tatum, 1 rebound short of triple double.
They took him out. Why did they take him out?
Yeah, should they have kept Tatum in?
I think Missoula asked him if he wanted to stay in, and I think he said no. But I don't know.
They
Either
started
way,
laughing on the sidelines with Derek White. Yeah, I kind of
Yeah,
want
they
to
were
see
probably
that
clowning
last
him for that.
rebound. Yeah.
they were definitely clowning him for that. But either way, this was a great game. This is what the Celtics looked like last year when they were winning championships. So the second half of this game was very encouraging, and I'm hoping they can continue that moving forward because they played really well in the second half and just kind of overall dominated the Nets in this game.
Heck yeah.
I like rightfully so. I mean, I won't lie. The start of this game, this has kind of been a trend, these slow starts here. And if I remember correctly, that was a thing to start last season too, where the slow starts. I believe so. I know there was a slow start period. And it was the first quarter and third quarter that gave us troubles. And it was in like the beginning of the year and the halfway point of the year. I don't know which one came first, but this was something we've seen last year. And guys, I do want to talk about it. I hate to bring up the negative, but what's the solution to this problem that you're kind of seeing Boston have? Are they taking too many threes out the gate? You know, what do you guys think?
We're not playing with much aggression is what I feel like it is. I just feel like it's all just like coming from like lazy shots and too many 3-pointers and a mixture of that with just like, I just feel like sometimes like the emotions like get to us where, you know, we're not like Rob was saying in an episode before too, like the first 15 games, it should be easily just like, you know, kind of like only like a 14-1 like kind of record. And now we're like only 10-3. I'm just kind of like these slow starts are just kind of getting us like our emotions high and just kind of like making us like feel too confident. But I feel like we kind of just got to take it slow when it comes to a point like that.
Do you think it's sustainable is my question. Do you think this is a problem that lingers, or do you guys think this gets fixed? Because quite frankly, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, we're 13 games in now, we're 10-3. But just like those third quarters last year, I think this is a problem that there is a solution to, and they will find it.
And I think it's going to help out schedule-wise. Their schedule is going to be freeing up after this game immensely. They're going to be able to have those practice. Abby chimed in during the game saying that the team's been on the road. They've been not able to practice as often, and it seems like they were getting their feet on the ground during the first quarters of the past few games, and it's taking a second for them to get that momentum. And I think what they're hoping for, it seems like they're hoping for one of those shots, one of those 3-point shots that fall in to create that confidence. But if that doesn't happen, you need to go with what you know is reliable, which is attacking the rim and being able to get those open looks.
Well, what did Abby say? That this is going to be their first 2-game rest of the season since they opened up camp?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, crazy.
I just realized that. Yeah,
that's got to play into it. I mean, they've been doing a lot of basketball to start the year, 13 games and playing every other day on top of practice and traveling. And mind you, they have opened up the gate. They've played 13 games and 8 of them have been on the road. So a lot of traveling for the Celtics team. However, you do wish to see a little bit better of a start from a team that is so already meshed and gelled together. However, again, we say this, we're 10-3, but guys, let's talk about the SeatGeek player of the game, because man, oh man, we should change this to the Jason Tatum player of the game, right? But we can't, because Jason Tatum is your SeatGeek player of the game for, I believe, is the 7th time this season, maybe 8.
We'll have to get a counter going.
We got to start a Jason Tatum counter, because this guy has been on absolute tear this season in his 2024-2025 campaign. However, before we talk about Jason Tatum, guys, this post-game show is brought to you by SeatGeek. Guys, at checkout, use code Celtics Weekly for $20 off your first purchase. Guys, the link is in the description down below. It is the first link you'll see there. Shout out to SeatGeek for giving us the opportunity to sponsor us this post-game show. Guys, let's talk about Jason Tatum. 36 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists, 5 made three-pointers, a plus 23 on the plus-minus box score. Obviously, 1 rebound shy of that triple-double. He shot 63% from the floor. Guys, 5 of 6 from behind the three-point line in just 35 minutes tonight for JT. Now, this is a reoccurring thing. And I want to take this conversation somewhere where we really haven't talked about in post-game shows. Through these first 13 games, is Jason Tatum your MVP?
Without question.
Yeah.
I was actually just gonna try and like hint it, but not get at it. But since Rob brought it up,
we're diving straight into it, Brendon. We're driving.
Yeah, I mean, we might as well on the subject. Yeah, he's second in the MVP ladder. Number 1 is Anthony Davis, from what I saw, but we'll get to that at another time. But no, I mean, he's easily putting up like the, like I think someone on ESPN on Twitter was saying it too. Like, he's the NBA's MVP right now, and without question, he's had like 3 straight games with over 30 or 4. I think it was 4 games with like over like 35 points. So, I mean, he's putting up terrific numbers. He's getting more comfortable with the ball. I just feel like every game he's going to just get better and better. So it's just, I mean, it takes time obviously, but record wise it could change. But for him, like specifically though, I think he's just playing the best basketball he has in his first 13 games in a season. So it's good to see him out there getting comfortable with this new form too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's a stretch to say, like, if Nikola Jokic wasn't as good as he is, Jason is the best player in the NBA this year. I honestly, I don't know if voter fatigue is gonna take hold of it this year, but
it might.
Jokic is doing some insane things this year, so hopefully voter fatigue sets in and they'll give Jason Tatum the MVP this year. But he has no doubt been probably the best player in the NBA this season. He's leading the Celtics. Jaylen Brown wasn't there. He was leading the Celtics. Jaylen Brown comes back. He looks even better.
Right.
And, I mean, what else could you ask for when it comes to Jason Tatum?
And he's looking like the most well-rounded player in the league right now. I think he's doing a phenomenal job of, you look at the other candidates, there's no one else on the MVP board that can contribute to the game in so many other ways like Jason Tatum can. The athleticism, the durability, being able to play through an injury. We saw that he was nursing that ankle yesterday. It didn't seem to bother him tonight. And I think that you're just going to see the most consistency out of Jason Tatum throughout the duration of this season out of anyone else.
That's the key word right there. Consistency, guys. If Tatum can string along, because we've seen, again, we talk about it all the time. Tatum has like these 2-month stretches where he's just undoubtedly the best and most unguardable player in the league. And then he'll hit a little month stretch where his shot's not falling. He's in his own head. And that kind of derails his MVP narrative. That is, this game was the best Jason Tatum game we've seen all year. Without a doubt, 36 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. He shot 5 of 6 from 3. That 3-point number is something I need to talk about. Yes, that's the sweet spot. 6, 7, 8, boom, right there, Tatum. He took 6 3-pointers. He took 13 2-pointers. Guys, he got to the free throw line 9 times. That is the best version of Jason Tatum. What we saw tonight, what makes him so special. He was playing on the defensive end well. He was scoring the ball. He was efficient. He was getting to the rim. He was getting to the line. That is what we need to see out of Jason Tatum. If he continues to do this, then he will undoubtedly be at least in the conversation for him and somebody else. Obviously, Luka and Jokic, we know how good they're going to be. But if Jason Tatum, Ian brings up a valid point. Voter fatigue is a real thing in the NBA. And Nikola Jokic right now, statistically, is doing, 32, 12 and 13. He's doing some absurd things. However, Jason Tatum, when you talk about all around, I agree with you, Franco. He's right now the all around offensive and defensive best player in the NBA, and he's playing like it. And it all starts with his shot from behind the arc. He has been not making his shots, and that is huge. His confidence is back. He looks like the player we know and love within Jason Tatum. That summer, that Olympics, that even that struggled playoff 3-point shooting. I mean, we understand how successful that he was and the team was in that playoffs. That's all behind him. He looks like a new player. He looks like a refreshed player, and that is huge when you're talking about a guy like Jason Tatum. So it'll be interesting. It's going to be interesting to kind of keep note of. Excuse me. And
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. No, you're good.
I was
Go
gonna
ahead.
say if you want stats for how good Jason Tatum is, he is currently leading the NBA in total points. He is leading the NBA in points, rebounds, and assists. I assume that's total points, rebounds, and assists.
Yep.
He leads the Celtics in points per game, leads the Celtics in rebounds per game, leads the Celtics in assists per game. So,
Am I wrong, or does he also lead it on steals per game? That might have updated after this game.
it might have. I don't know. Last time I checked, he was leading the Celtics.
Right.
in
The
steals
Holiday
per
had
game
3
too,
tonight. So
I don't know. We'll have to see. But
I mean,
still,
yeah,
it's insane.
that and you know what, Ian? That's his case right there. Right? That will be his case. He's leading the best team in the NBA in scoring, rebounding, and passing. Like that will be his case, right? Because obviously, Jokic is going to have the statistical advantage over him, right? Jokic is going to end the season averaging like 31, 13, and 9, or he might even
the team's built around him.
Right, exactly right. But Tatum's case is he's leading the best team in the league, or maybe second best right now. If you want to mention Cleveland, I'll entertain that.
We'll talk on Tuesday.
Yeah, right. But right now, Tatum's playing some phenomenal ball, guys, and I don't know it is refreshing to see, because it felt like that little 7th-month stretch he had. He just looked kind of like he was in his own head. So it is refreshing to see this out of JT.
Yeah, definitely. I think that once he started to get that stride, and I feel like it's more of just being able to lead this team, and when he has everything going for him, everyone else that falls into place. Like I said, with the role players, I think he is the independent, and then everyone else is the dependent variables with the Celtics roster. Excluding Jaylen Brown, who can have those performances like we saw yesterday. I think that Tatum is the 1A that's going to be what's going to change the fortunes of this team. And I think that if he has his independent run, it's going to change his narrative in Celtics and the NBA's perspective in media.
So last year, and that's a good segue point. Last year, on the show, I was Mr. X Factor. Who was the X Factor? And it was Drew Holiday all season long. I was like, Drew Holiday, when he scores over 14 points, the Celtics are nearly unbeatable. I want to ask you something, guys. I'm looking at the box score here, and Peyton Pritchard walked in to 23, 8, and 6 tonight. Is Peyton Pritchard the Boston Celtics X Factor this year?
I would say so. I don't think that's a very far stretch to say.
No.
He has been the best bench player in the NBA, I think. Obviously, 6th man of the year. We've been talking about that, but overall, it is really interesting to see. Like, Peyton Pritchard can carry the Celtics offense for like quarters of a game.
Yeah.
Like, just going back to that Bucks game, not last game, it was the game before that, but the Bucks game, where in that second quarter, Peyton Pritchard basically carried the Celtics offense and kept them in that game, so that when the third quarter and second half hit, the Celtics were able to come back and win the game. So it's really interesting that Peyton Pritchard, who I don't know, it's so weird to think, because like I wouldn't say I had zero expectations of Peyton Pritchard coming into the year, but like maybe I just didn't expect what he's doing right now.
I didn't.
Absolutely insane, and he has turned himself into one of the biggest pieces on this team.
And what I noticed too is like all the time, like I see it pretty quickly happen too in games. Like I saw it tonight as well. When we kind of have like that slump going in the first quarter, Joe is like pretty fast, like bringing him in, and when he brings him in at like the start of like the quarters, like when we had that slump, like we went down like 23-11 tonight, example. He just comes right in the game and he just starts firing. So when moments like that, I feel like Pritchard can play his best basketball. So especially when he comes off the bench too, it just exhilarates him. So I love it.
The open opportunities come for him from coming off the bench. He is able to find those mismatches on the offensive side, and he also creates his own opportunities with this offense, which is mind-boggling when he should
back
be the third or fourth option on the court, and he's able to create and play make like he's the starter and he's the main player. And especially when he's matched up against the second unit, he just takes full advantage of it.
If I'm the opposing team and I got to walk into a matchup against the Boston Celtics, and you're guarding Tatum well, you're guarding Brown well, you're guarding Porzingis, right? You got Holiday, you're guarding them well, and then in walks Peyton Pritchard the game.
little
And
5'11".
little 6 foot, little white boy guard, right? Walks in there and drop buckets on you. I would be demoralized because it feels like with the Celtics team, it's like you catch him on a bad night. Tatum's not shooting well, Brown's not shooting well, whatever it is. Then it's like Pritchard is the dagger. So it's like, I think this year, and it's interesting because X factor to me in my brain is like make or break, right? But the interesting thing with Pritchard is he doesn't need to do what he's doing, right? Like he does,
No.
like what he's doing right now is genuinely like it mind-boggling. I'll say it, bring it back, mind-boggling, right? It is like so hard to wrap your head around because he's elevated his game to like a level where you want to sit there and think like if this guy got an opportunity to start, he might be like what did Scal say, 27-8,
Right.
like seriously, like he is that talented. And it's weird because this is a dude that's been on your bench and has had relatively the same role for 4 seasons now. And he has just elevated his game to another level. And I mean, I don't know if I'm going to call him the X factor quite yet, but I'll tell you what, he is the ultimate just morale killer in this league because when he checks in and he starts putting up buckets, there's no way you're beating the Celtics team. There's just no way. If you have Brown and Tatum on their on their good nights and you got White too, and then you throw Pritchard in there and he's got on and on night, you're gonna lose by 40 because I mean he can get buckets and he can get a whole lot of them real fast. So shout out Peyton Pritchard, man. I mean, wow, what a luxury. Yeah, it's a good time to be a Celtics fan. I mean, because what a luxury that is. It's just crazy. It is crazy. I want to talk about however the turnovers tonight. Last night we had 20. The game ended on a turnover. We lost off turnovers, guys. What was Boston able to do tonight against a Brooklyn team? Mind you, they struggled with turning the ball over just a couple games ago, but they were able to clean up their game tonight. How were they able to do that?
It seemed like the game slowed down for them in the second half, and it wasn't really a forcing opportunities type of deal for the Celtics. I think they were able to find their looks within the offense by having Jason Tatum running the offense and being able to pass the ball, draw those doubles, and create those open opportunities for the Celtics. I think when they're trying to do too much and forcing the ball into the hands of a Tatum or Brown, teams will pick up on that. And we've seen teams have started to crack the code of when what the Celtics are trying to do on offense, which is get the ball into the major players' hands. And I think once you start to get those other opportunities, start having Pritchard, who's been a immense luxury, as you said, he's doing a great job of spreading the ball around and almost spreading the floor a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, Peyton Pritchard is, I don't know, it's just crazy, man. The Celtics, I don't even know what to say, honestly, dude. The Celtics they came out, they had to do what they had to do, and Peyton Pritchard has been the catalyst for that when it comes to that.
I will say, I think you look at teams are getting more handsy with this team. We talked about that last night, Franco. And I think Boston has some adjusting to do because, again, when you're the NBA right now and you're looking at the Boston Celtics, they caught the league off guard last year. No one really knew how to play them. They couldn't figure them out. And they've had a whole offseason, opposing teams have, to kind of try to figure out how to play against the Celtics team and what the attack point when you go into a matchup against them, right? It's the same squad. So they've had some time to game plan now. And I think you're starting to see some teams kind of crack down on, okay, how to make life harder on Boston. And that answer is to play a physical brand of basketball. Boston's a team that doesn't necessarily love to get down and dirty in the trenches. They can, but they don't love to do it. And Brendon, I think what we saw tonight from them was they got down and dirty in the trenches. They rebounded. They took care of the ball. They played some stellar defense at times. And that, to me, is important when you talk about the Celtics team.
You and I were talking about before we went on the air. We were talking about how we want to see more out of, both. We see enough out of Tatum, I was saying too, but more out of Jaylen Brown. I feel when our stars are just coming up, getting all the boards together. Brown had a season high in scoring and plus rebounding too. So
right.
I definitely just think it's a mixture that we need those two guys, getting the boards more often than than just our bigs too, because they just gotta fight for the ball as much as they can as the best 2 stars.
Right. I think, I mean, that's when you talk about that's the thing to watch right now, because again, we still have, I mean, we're 10-3. I think defensively, we still struggled, honestly, at times, especially in that first quarter. We have not been able to play good defense in the first quarter yet. So that needs to be watched over these next couple games. And we have a great opportunity against Toronto to do that. Is come out and step on their throats, get out to a big lead. We saw it in the first couple of games, and then it felt like we kind of spiraled into a habit of coming out flat defensively, not just offensively. We put up 32 points in the first quarter offensively tonight, but we still found ourselves down. And a lot of the times we'll score like 36 points, but the other team is at 32 or 34, and they're right in the game. So I think it starts, Franco, on the defensive end of the floor. So what does Boston, what do we got to do defensively coming out of the gate that we haven't done yet?
It's the intensity, and one of the things that we've been looking for this season is the stock exchange. Derek White and Drew Holiday, those have been the focal points of this team's defense for a long time. I was starting to question if Drew Holiday was starting to have age catch up with him, and on-ball defense was starting to become more of a catalyst, but being able to keep their guys down low and also being able to control the boards is the story of the game on defense. I think that we're hoping to see a couple more times that Drew Holiday and Derek White can get those contests, and when they're being off-ball pests and being able to get the steals to get the team going in transition is when the Celtics are most effective.
I think that is intensity. That's the name of the game right now. They're coming out just kind of lackluster. And this is a team a year ago, and I texted you guys this. They took a step back defensively. I'm there right now with Boston, right? Like, I'm going to say that with this team. They took a step back. They are not the league's best defensive team right now. And I don't really think they're going to get there anytime soon until Kristaps gets back. Because what we're seeing teams are getting into the paint at ease, and they're drawing out the big man, and they are getting into the paint kind of whenever they want. I said this going into the year. It's the guards have to be better on ball, but it feels like they haven't done it. So for me, guys, the Celtics defense is not where it is, and it's not going to be there, or where it was last year. It's not going to be there until Kristaps gets back. However, is Kristaps the solution to this problem, or do we think that it won't change much with Kristaps in there?
I would say he's a pretty good answer to the problem, honestly.
Right.
I mean, obviously, game one of the finals, you saw the Celtics were kind of getting crushed by Indiana in the conference finals. Porzingis comes back game one against the Mavericks, and he puts up a crazy game. So I think that's the problem that the Celtics have had so far. And that's kind of why people think like, oh, the Celtics are kind of struggling right now. They're really not. It's just the difference is Porzingis was there to start the year last year. And the Celtics looked like an absolute juggernaut from the jump last year because of that. And him not being there, definitely, it's definitely a big piece you're missing. And obviously it might not seem that way since they won the finals without him mostly, but he is huge to what this team does. And I don't know, what was it? He was like leading the league in blocks, or like around the top 5 in like blocks and like paint presence and stuff like that. So he is going to be an absolutely huge defender, especially because he's going to play the weak side when the players do, like if they do get past the guards. So I think Porzingis will be the absolute best case answer for, what's moving on going forward.
It's gonna get better. I can tell you that with Kristaps coming back. But I'd like to see it better without, because again, we won a championship without Kristaps, and our defense was pretty solid, pretty damn good without him in that playoff stretch. So you want to see them better without him. I think they will get better. There's a lot of ball left in the season. We're only 13 games in, but they have an opportunity to get better against Toronto, guys. So when we look forward towards this Toronto matchup, obviously Boston gets 2 days off. They're going to be back at home. An 8:00 start, which is kind of weird. What are you guys looking for? Obviously a lot of the same, right? But what in particular, one thing you're looking at for this matchup against Toronto that is kind of your focal point for Boston to continue to get back on track?
I think they're going to be hitting the refresh button with being able to have 2 days off is going to be huge for this team. I think that they're going to be able to come in with a clear state of mind back in Boston on a Saturday night. That it's going to be a high energy game, and Toronto hasn't been looking as great. And I think they just need to get that hot start and make Toronto call the first timeout. They win the game if Toronto calls the first timeout.
I like that.
Yeah, I think they're going to try to build upon what they did in the second half tonight. If this is if the Celtics are playing like they did in the second half tonight, that's going to look really good. And I'm excited to see if they can replicate what they did. They're going to have a couple days off and be able to chill, have practice, do whatever they need to do. And I think they're going to be refreshed when it comes to playing against Toronto.
I don't want to see any slumps in any quarters. I don't want to see any slumps in the first quarter. I want to see just like domination throughout quarters 1 through 4, because once we start quarter 1 and we kind of, even though we can get back up and go into the second half and kind of climb back up and get the lead, I don't want to see any of that. Even though I just think, like we were talking about earlier, that the defense has to step up too. It's just like we gotta push for that.
I'm with you. I need to see another blowout win. Defense, rebounding, take care of the ball. When the Celtics do that, they are physically unbeatable. Excuse me. You can't beat them when they are rebounding, when they're not turning the ball over, and when they're playing defense. You got all-star players doing those things. It's impossible to beat these guys, and that's what I'm looking at in this Toronto matchup. I think you guys are right. It really is a great opportunity for Boston to kind of set back for 2 days. This is nice. They'll fly back into Boston tonight. Obviously, they'll get almost a week here. They'll get to be at home. They play the 16th. They'll be back on the 14th in Boston. They are against Toronto the 16th, Cleveland the 19th, and then they don't fly out for Washington until the 21st. So they have what is exactly 1 week to kind of be back in Boston, to get their legs under them. They have 3 games in 10 days here, guys. That's, I think, what this team needs. A lot of practice, address what's going on, what's going wrong defensively and effort-wise, and I think they're going to get to do that. And, I think it's going to be a good opportunity for them to string along a couple wins. That big matchup against Cleveland, that's on TNT. That's on November 19th. That one is going to be must-see TV next Tuesday. Circle. Yes, but before that, however, the Celtics have to get through the Toronto Raptors, which is this Saturday, November 16th at 8 p.m. Eastern time, guys. After that game goes to the final buzzer sounds, come right back here to CTW YouTube account for Celtics Talk Weekly postgame show. Guys, tonight the Celtics were able to steamroll and get right past the Brooklyn Nets, 139-114. Jason Tatum was your SeatGeek player of the game, 36 points, 9 rebounds, 10 assists. Guys, you know what time it is. Do that so much. Until next time, guys. Go Celtics.
Night.